friendly as Dash of Dave. He'll take some scraps and bits of this, turn them into something you can't miss. Junk journals, tapes, and crafts galore. He'll have you begging, show me more. Oh, Dash of Dave, oh, what a sight, mixing colors day and night.
Hi everyone, it's Dash of Dave here again, and I'm back for another crafty video. So, it is, for you guys, it's Monday the something. I don't know, I thought it was all going to be planned and everything, and then I forgot to look. For you guys, it's Monday the 6th of January. So, it being January, and it being 2025, blimey, who can believe it's 2025? I mean, when I was a kid, 2025 seemed like the future. I mean, I knew it was in the future, but like the future, like things would be radically different, and we'd all be living in, basically the Jetsons style life. But no, it's just very normal, isn't it? So anyway, the one thing that isn't normal for me is my ability to organise. I'm terrible at organising. So I've made 2025 the year that I explore organisation. Now, you have to forgive me because I'm exploring organisation. This doesn't mean I'm going to commit to it. It's not a New Year's resolution because, everybody breaks them. It's we're going to just dip our toe in, see how we feel type thing. I'd like 2025 to be the year that I kind of get organised with lots of things, with stuff in my house, stuff in my craft room, and the way that I organise my preparation and planning for the channel. In order to do that, I'm going to make myself a planner journal. Now, normally I plan for the channel and I write down what I'm going to do. So usually the weekend before I film, and I always film 2 weeks in advance. So that's why sometimes when you comment on something about me doing something in the next video, it's usually too late because I've already filmed it. So, and the reason for that is I like to be at least, a week ahead of myself. So I film on a Sunday. So I always film on a Sunday. So I'm filming today, which is Sunday the 29th. And I'm filming for not the week coming, but the week after that. And that way then I'm always a week in advance. So as the week disappears, I'm always a week in advance. So I keep moving on. That just gives me a bit of a buffer. And the buffer is there for where if something happens and I'm not able to film for any reason, it could be my internet's out, it could be a power cut, it could be something that has happened in my family or friends, or I need to go to a wedding, or whatever. It just gives me that buffer. The thing is, I tend to plan on a Saturday and a Sunday. I work during the week. I work Monday to Friday, and I do about 50 hours a week. And then at the weekends, I have to do the prep for the channel. So my prep usually consists of stuff like this. So I just have a list with dates. So this is all stuff that I've had for November, what I was going to do, it means nothing really. So to anybody else, it just says, so for instance, art journal. It doesn't say what I'm going to do or any ideas that I've put with it. So I could write it, come to it, and then think, I don't know what I was going to do in that art journal. And that's what I want to do. I want to be a bit more prepared. And I tend to find that I have lots of these kind of bits of paper all kind of lying around. I have things like this where I'm prepping for a video and it gives me a bit of a prompt offside if I forget what the measurements are. But I never tend to keep all of these things together. So there's another piece here from something else. And what I'd like to do is have some kind of a book where I can prep for each week, have an idea of it, somewhere to keep maybe a photo or some inspiration photos that I've taken, or some screenshots, because I have my mini printer that Vic bought me, not this Christmas just gone, but the Christmas before. So I've got that printer and I can print them and then stick them in. I can make some notes. I can somewhere I can put maybe some templates or a prototype or even like the measurements and stuff, and have it all together. So I don't know what I'm going to do. So you're glad you tuned in. All I know is I have a lot of cardboard that measures, well, it's A4 cardboard. Some of it's slightly bigger because that was actually a cover on a book. So I have all this cardboard, and it's all single sheet stuff. So I didn't want it to make it half of this and make it small. I wanted a piece where I could separate it into the three, so the 3 videos of the week, but still have a significant part to be able to write something, maybe put some clippings in, like tuck things behind, clip things to it, and I wanted the outside of it to be fairly big. So what I've decided to use is a piece of Amazon packaging, because you know we all have these and we have a lot of these. I know it's ripped, but I'm going for a utilitarian style, so I'm thinking of having these in here, this as the spine, so fairly big, but also have it so that I can take them out and put them in and put extra ones in, because here I've got 16 pages, I think, and obviously there's 52 weeks in the year. So I also might want, you know, a page with just 2 things on, because I need more space for the prep, whatever. So that's what I was thinking of doing. Now I've got an idea in my mind, and that is to make it so that we have these are bound with a hole punch and they're tied into the book. That way I can untie them, take them out, do whatever I need to, and tie them back in. I can also add more pages. I can use cardboard, so this is coffee dyed cardboard on some of it, and some of it's like scrap cardboard. But then I can change it up a bit. I can have some extra pockets in it. I can put some envelopes in. I can do what I want, and it gives me that versatility. So I've got an idea in my mind, but it's not a complete idea. So we're going to just do this together. So I want it to be the same size as this. So this is basically been cut down, and all I did to cut this down is I took an envelope. So this is another one of Guess Who, one of Jeff's envelopes. So all I did was I literally cut off this fold over, cut off those bits, peeled this bit off, yeah, and then I used this where it's got this built-in gusset as the spine. I've got another one here because I think I need to reinforce the spine. But what I'd like to do is I'm going to have it so that it has some holes, some apertures in it. And that way then I can have the main part of it to be somewhere where I wrap the string around. So something to wrap the string around. Now I was thinking I could do with a standard size hole punch for making the holes in the bits of board in these cardboard things, and that way then they're all going to be the same size, they're all going to be the same fit. Now actually I'm not sure how well that's going to, because like even if you tie it really well it's going to droop a bit, but I don't mind, you know, I want it to have that utilitarian feel. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to go and find myself my hole punch, and I will be back in a sec. Well, it won't be a second for you, like you won't notice I've got. Okay, so I found this one. Now this is a really old one. It's actually an antique because they don't make them like this anymore. That's what they all say. So I'm going to use this one. I don't know whether it works properly and whether that's the right size. I can't really tell because I could do with a reference sheet, the one that's already punched, but I don't think I've got anything. But at the end of the day, oh, hang on, here. So let's see if they are the same distance apart as this, because then it makes it standard if it is. Oh, it does. It is. It's fine. So hopefully it works. I don't know whether it does. I don't know whether it's going to be in the middle, because they used to have a guide that they used to pull out to be able to tell you whether you're in the right place or not. I guess that's the middle. So if I find the middle of this, in fact, I'm just going to cheat and just do a pinch and then put that in there on that pinch line. Do that and see if it actually makes a hole. Oh, it does make a hole. Although it seems to make a hole. It makes a hole not in the right place. Put that in there. Oh, that's moved. That's why. Yeah, there. So those two are standard in the UK. Those two, yep, they are. Not these, not this closest one. These two. So, okay. So I've got a hole punch. That's fine. So I was thinking maybe I use this as a reference. So if I have this on here, and I then know that I need to thread these, and I'm going to tie them onto here. So I need the I want it to be not too much bigger. I do there and then there. So what I'm planning to do is I will use a pencil because I'm not saying this is going to be accurate. So I'm planning to cut it so that this bit stays in place. So this piece stays here, but there is a hole, and I'll make them both the same size. So that gets cut out and that gets cut out. That way then, this retains the integrity, so the rigidity of it, but it's got a hole for which you to thread through and tie string off. And that's what I'm thinking anyway. So that's what I'm going to do. So there we go. What I'm going to do is, in fact, I'm going to make things very easy for myself. I am going to say, in fact, I could do with knowing where that is, couldn't I? That hole. So that is 4.5 inches from here. That's 4.5 inches. So if I do 4.5 inches from here, that's not the same. What? No, it's not 4.5 inches, Dave, at all. You're just being an idiot. It's 4.75 inches. So if I do 4.75 inches here, then I know that those two are the same height. If I then make this aperture there and there, and then I do 4.5 from 4.75, actually 4.75 inches from here, which is there, and 4.75 inches from here, which is there. Now these are the projects that I really love. I find these really fun because I don't know the direction that these are going to go. This is a make for me. So Mondays I try to keep as a make, Wednesdays I try to give a process make, and then Fridays is currently being the house, making the house stuff. So my diorama house, my first real toe dip into the world of dioramas. So so I'm going to cut this bit out. I also think I want to cut just a little bit way into the spine and from the top and the bottom, and that's just so that I've got, maybe if it's on a shelf, I've got somewhere to kind of hook my finger under and pull it out. And I'm just going to make this really easy for myself, and I'm going to do it the width of this ruler for the height of that measurement. It's not really a measurement, is it? It's not a measurement, Dave. We're just drawing around something. So do that, and then do this. Now I don't know whether this is going to work. I'm sure some of you out there are screaming at the TV saying, "That's not going to work." But I can't hear you, because I can't hear you. You're in the past for me. Yeah, because somebody said about the house. So I was doing the house. They were saying about I should stick the tiles on all individuals so that they overlapped. Whilst I agree with that, that was one of the contemplations I had. I ended up doing, I think I did 24 of those strips, and each one of the strips had about 16 tiles on them. If I'd done them all individually, I'd have had to ink all of the edges of all of them. They'd all been really tiny, and I've had to glue them on. I think it would have been a bit of a mammoth task. Whilst I agree that that would have looked great, I also, would still be on. I'd still be recording episode, whatever that one episode was, now. So because it's been going on forever, because it would have been epic. So, and I realise that's a bit frustrating for some people because they want me to make it the way that they would like me to make it. However, I'm making stuff for me. On a Friday, it's about doing stuff for me. Mondays is usually a bit of a rehearsed make. Not today, obviously. So it's usually I've been making a lot of boxes and things, or tags and that sort of thing. But normally I would. Today I realise it isn't, but that's simply because I need to make this. I need to make it early on in January, otherwise there's not much point in me trying to get organised. Because we'll be well into February before I get organised otherwise. So that's that bit. I've cut that there. And I know I said I wanted to reinforce it, but I think I'm going to add the reinforcements afterwards. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do these ones. So I'm hoping that this kind of makes sense as to what I want to do. I'm going to cover it as well. So I've got an idea for covering it. I think I'm also going to use some more of Jeff's freebie packaging. When I say Jeff, I mean Jeff Bezos, owner of Amazon. Because I think we get so much packaging, and I like to use. This is why I use these pieces. These are pieces of scrap paper that wouldn't get used otherwise. So I like to do the prep on things that is saving a bit of paper, especially because I want all the nice stuff to be kept for doing my junk journals and that sort of thing, or the makes that I do, or the one sheet wonders, or that sort of thing. So, and I like finding a way to use these things that we, this is basically free craft materials that we get through the post every time we order something. So why not use it? Right, so that's going to come out of there, hopefully, if I've cut it correctly. So yes, I hope everybody had a good festive season. It's I know it's a few days ago now, and you're thinking, what? A festive season? We're looking forward to the next one now. But yeah, it goes so quickly, isn't it? With all that planning, and it's over in a flash. So let's just cut that bit off there, like that. So that's how I'm thinking the spine is going to be. Like I say, I want to reinforce it, and I want to reinforce it with some of more of this packing material. Might as well. So I think I'm just going to cut these. Not with that or not. I'm going to cut these edges off. No, I need to go all the way through, Dave. I've been watching a new series on Apple TV. I'm watching The Silo. So, not really a thing that... I like sci-fi. Not really a fan of dystopian stuff. But, however, I will have to say, it's given me loads of great ideas for kind of the utilitarian stuff. It's got that kind of utilitarian feel to it. So I'm hoping that it will help me feel inspired like I say, I'm off for a few days until 2nd of January, which I know that has gone for you, but it's a few days away for me. So actually, I can't believe it's only, I was thinking I've got loads of time, but I don't actually have loads of time. I only have we're on 3 days. I was thinking loads of time to do all this planning and prep and that sort of thing. No, it's not actually going to happen. So I was thinking I'm going to use this to reinforce the front. I don't know how much I need. What I'm probably going to do is stick it on and cut it down afterwards, because I want to reinforce it. I also want to reinforce the spine, so this piece will be the back page. I've got the front and the back for reinforcement, but then I need some more of something to reinforce the spine with. Here's another one. I really think I bought everything from Amazon. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use, they're the pieces they're the front and back. I'm getting confused, so don't cut down the pieces of card that you want, Dave. So they're the front and back. This is what I need, is this spine. So how wide is the spine? The spine measures, oh, that's nice, it's actually 4 centimetres. Now I know you guys don't work in centimetres, but I'm quite happy in the centimetre land, in the land of centimetres. Not centipedes, I don't like centipedes at all. But I'm quite happy in the land of centimetres. I nearly said centipedes and centimetres. That's my preferred measurement, is a centimetre. Well, metric, not specifically a centimetre. So I'm going to measure this, not measure it, straighten this line off. Hopefully those 3 are in the same place. They're pretty much there. And then I'm going to cut this down. And that should then cover that spine. Just want to move that up there. And cut that bit off. Pull that bit off. I might have the spine a bit thicker actually. I might go for another piece of that. So again, we'll do 4 centimetres. Just can't see, that's just, there's a light just on where the line is, so I think that's it. And then there. So I'm going to give the spine an extra strengthening, because that's the thing that's going to be basically load bearing. And if that's the load bearing piece, that's the bit that we need to make sure is the stronger part. And then we're going to cover it with something. So like I say, going to be some Amazon packaging for that covering. But do I make these the right size now? I don't actually know what size they are. Are they anything that's specific? So 22.5 by, oh, it would be, that's typical. Ruler's not long enough. Let's get me big guns out. By what? So that measures 22.5. Yeah, 22.5, and this measures the actual measurement that it's closest to is 12.5 centimeters. So I'm going to inches. So I'm going to do the height in inches, 12.5. Let's get this in. And that way I'm going to do in centimeters, simply because that sits nicely on the 22.5. which is strange. Mixing your measurements is not something you would normally do, but it works for me. So, in fact, I'm going to cut these now. So, let's just see. Can I get that measurement inside? No, I can't. Right, let's cut this edge off, because there's a very definite edge here. Let's cut that off. There. And that's just basically the score line of how the box was put together. And there's one here as well. Let's cut that down. So we're going to go with 22.5 this way. We're talking centimetres, which is there. Remember, measure 3 times. That way then if you've got one of the measurements wrong, you'll spot it instantly, whereas if you do it just 2, then you'll end up cutting it in a wonky line. Okay, use that as the edge to cut on. So they should all be there or thereabouts lining up, which they are. And then we're going to cut that off. Cool, so that's going to be one of them. Oh no, I don't know how tall that is. That's the next thing we need to do. We're going to do the height. So again, what have we got here? Oh, that's kind of it. So we want to make sure, let's get an edge that we know is straight. So is this edge straight? Yeah, I think this edge is the straighter of the two. So we're going to measure from there. And we're going to go 12.5 inches this time, which is there. 12.5 inches, which is there, and then 12.5, which is there. Let's don't use that one because it's a shorter one. So on there to there, if we cut that line, that should be enough. That was a bit slightly wonky, slightly out. Right, so that's one of them. We need to do that with this one as well. So 22.5 again. That's right, wasn't it? Yep, 22.5. I also watched on Apple TV, because that's where the silo is, Blitz, which is that. It's a film about the Blitz, so the UK bombings in World War II. You know, I enjoyed it, and I think it would help people get a message across. Those people who don't know much about it. I know it's not covered in American history and that sort of thing, but it was covered in British history for us because, and also, you know, my parents were children at the time, but they went through it, and I knew my grandma, who also went through it, so I kind of know it from spoken history as well. But I was surprised to learn that I watched a couple of American channels exploring, you know, the UK. And I was surprised to learn that lots of Americans didn't even know that we were bombed during World War II. So, and anyway, so the Blitz kind of portrays this, and it's about, I don't want to spoil it for you if you're going to watch it, but it's about we evacuated kids during World War II, so that they were away from harm and danger. Oh, look, that's perfect, those two. But a lot of kids ran away from that. My auntie being one of those people. She got evacuated to a place called Atherstone and came back home, but was promptly sent back. That's what they did. So, anyway, it's about that, basically. This kid runs away from, being evacuated, and then, it's about him trying to find his mom, and and as much as it was good, I felt it was a bit wishy-washy in parts, but, I'm not an expert on what they were trying to convey. Sorry, all I've done is I've just squared off that bit. So I'm going to measure these bits. So that is going to be 7.5 centimetres. Is that one going to be the 7.5 as well? Oh, of course it isn't. It's just a little shallow. Anyway, let's do them both at 7.5. What's that one? And that's a little shallow of 7.5. So let's do 7.5. Let's cut them down to 7.5 centimetres, which is whatever that is in inches. Let's just put a measurement on here, 7.5, and we'll cut them down a little bit from there. So that's 7.5. What's that on here? So we need 6 of these, because remember we want to double. That is there, which is slightly shallow of 3 inches. Is that right? So, oh, it is. So it's slightly shallow of 3 inches. So if I put a line there, that's one. So do up to that line. That's 2. Up to that line. 3. Want to get another one out of there before it gets to that bend. 4. Was that? Oh, yeah, that's not the bend. 4. Close it on there. I'm going to cut the very end off. No, the other way around, Dave. That. That through there. Up to there. Up to there. I'll cut some extras for look. Okay, so they're what I need. That's not what I need. And then, right, so go to that. So I'm hoping that these will fit on here. They do. They might be a little bit big, but that one fits okay because that's the right size. This one's a little big. Is that also the same? Yeah, that's a little big as well. So I don't know what to do. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick them on and then cut the excess off once it's on. Yes, that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to use Kalal because it's got that kind of a plastic finish, you know, plasticized finish rather than just, although, which is going to bond better, it's glue, porous glue. Sorry, it's porous board. So what's going to bond better is white glue. Okay, change my mind. I'm going to use some of this. I'm allowed to change my mind. It's my project. So actually, maybe I should have done the board, the piece I'm sticking on, rather than this. But hey, I've done this now. I just want to make sure it completely covers the whole thing, and this will also stop this spine from bending in the middle. The only reason why it bends in the middle is because that's how the Amazon packaging is designed. So I'll stick that on there and line it up with, definitely line it up with one edge, and then if it doesn't line up completely, I can cut one of them off. I'll make sure it's in that spine area, which it is. Okay, so the next piece, we're going to glue this piece instead this time. I don't really think it makes much difference which one you do. You could do a GNU if you like, but you know, leave the GNUs alone. What's a GNU done to you? And there we go. That's a whole tongue twister there. I don't even know what a GNU is. It's an animal, I realise, but like, is it a real animal? I don't know. Is it a like a make-believe animal? I don't know. I've never met a GNU, so as far as I'm aware, I wasn't gonna either. Wasn't gonna. Oh, shut up, Dave. Shut up, Dave. And we're back to that again. So start the year with a few shut up Daves, and then we'll be all right. So just, you know, set the tone. Right, stick that on there. Again, want to sit it nicely in that thing so that when I fold it, that sits. Oh, perfect. So let's use this one on there. So this one's got the bevel of the fold line in it, whereas these two don't. So I'm going to make sure that this one has at least one layer that doesn't have a bend in it. So it's not going to compromise the integrity of the layer. I think it's slightly narrower this time, but not an issue. Stick that on there. See, this one's again got that kind of bevel. I don't know if you can see that, but it's got that bevel line. But once it's glued onto here, that layer hasn't, so it'll be less inclined to bend. And we always know that we can strengthen it a bit more. We can strengthen it on the inside as well. But I really wanted it to have that kind of utilitarian feel, like it's been made. You know, I like the utilitarian stuff anyway. And I think I was inspired to make this from, this is what kind of it sits in my mind's eye, is the thing from Silo. So there was somebody's case file, and it had like a policy closure that opened it, but because it's not based in reality, you know, it's retrofuturism, you can't, the world is kind of your oyster. You don't actually have to do anything that currently exists. So Margot, you know I've made stuff for Margot before. So Margot was my fictitious character who, you know, worked in a office. She kind of disappeared off the scene for a while, but she may resurface, in a world where we are not constrained by the norms. So I'm going to try not to cut my arm off with that. Just cut that excess off. Actually, that cut a lot easier than I was expecting it to. Just that bit that needs cutting out. I think that's because it's quite porous board anyway, so I'll flip that back around again because I cut better with the ruler in my left hand. Cut this down. Like Cool. So, okay, so that's just cut those bits off. That's definitely made that a lot stronger, and it's no longer inclined to kind of squish in. I know that we've got a bit of board missing here, but I like that. You might not like it, but I do. So, let's use this one on the front because this has already got labels on. So, we don't want to kind of have too many labels together because you'll just definitely feel it through. Whereas, and that one doesn't have any labels on, can have the piece with the labels on. So this piece is going to go on the front. I think we'll have that piece at the back. So this piece is a bit thinner than this piece. We'll have that there. How are we going to stick it down? Now, ideally, I would be using some wet glue. But I don't know whether I'm going to get enough coverage with it, whereas this is a lot more liquid. That comes out very well. You have to, it coats it out with a bit of bread normally. I did buy myself some more of this as well, so I feel like I can go a bit crazy with this. This is quite liquid, kind of lava lamp liquid. So maybe put this on. Oh, Dave, you know what? Go for using one of the new ones. Then you know it's all going to come out nice and easy. Yeah, there we go. No encouragement needed whatsoever. Nice tip on this as well. So you get a good coverage, and if you stay close to the actual page, the tip also smooshes it. Still don't know whether I'm going to get it out quick enough to be able to get as much, because it does start to dry because it's an acetate as an acetone, and so it starts to evaporate. It can also make you very high, so be careful. You should do it in a well ventilated area. Of course, you know that that's not what I've been prepared for. Put that bit on there. So it will squeeze out and ooze, but you know, we'll just correct that as we go. We are going to cover it, remember, so it's not going to be a biggie. So you can kind of rub it off once it's dry anyway. You want to make sure that's completely smooshed down, made full contact. So if you're using Kalal, it is a lot runnier than 3-in-1, but it's also a lot cheaper. So hence the reason why I use Kalal rather than 3-in-1. I do have some 3-in-1 still that's gone quite thick now, but I do use it mixed together. You can mix them, they're not like dangerous chemicals that you can't mix. You can mix them together because they're both acetone based, and what that will do is it just thins it down enough to be able to work with it. I'm regretting sticking that onto my hairy hand even. But that's going to go on there. Let's put the bevel spine towards the spine, the bevel bit towards the spine I mean, and we'll put this on here. Make sure we cover all of that chunk out of it. And completely around the edges. That's the big thing for me, is getting the edges to stick. Not squeezing too much, Dave. Definitely too much around that spine area. I might scrape some of that back actually. Sorry, gone quiet. Focusing, concentrating. Also trying not to get high. Let's use some of this to kind of just drag it back from that edge so we don't get too much squirtage when you put the layer on. Also, it helps me to kind of just squeeze it out to the edges, especially that interesting edge. Right, let's put this on. Put that on there. Try and line it up. Try and get it the same either side. Again, just smoosh it all down. Just lift it up a little bit and get rid of that gloop that's all squeezed out. But it's definitely made a good contact now. And because it kind of dries like a kind of plasticized finish, it will be good for the rigidity of it. Let's get rid of some of this goo. It's still drying, it's not dry completely yet, and I know that I've got some marks on the front, but like I say, we're going to cover it. So I think that's the next step, is covering it. So I'm going to cover it in some Amazon packaging. Again, we might as well, it's free. I'm just going to tear this open. Just down the spine bit. Oh, there's an envelope in there. And a dispatch note. I think this one came from work, so still came to Dave, because it's definitely a work one though, because it's got the Environment Business Centre on, which is where I work. But I receive all the deliveries at work as well, so kind of head of the purchasing. So okay, so that's this opened out. There's a thin bit there. So I kind of want to use, right, how much is this? So I'm going to cut it here and along that line, and I think we'll still have sufficient overhang. So after a moment where I thought, oh, I hope I'm not cutting through my microphone wire. Oh, one of the exciting things that I got bought for Christmas is I got bought a camera gimbal for when I'm doing to camera face stuff. So it tracks my face. Vic bought it, man. I'm so excited by it. Right, so we're going to do it this way up. So this is the bit that's going to face out, and I realise it's all creased, but I want it like that. So let's get this on top. So we're going to cover it in this. I'm going to have it so that it kind of just folds in. I will tidy the edges up. That bit is a bit thinner there. But I want to have, I don't know, I'm just trying to think of trying to do a way to have the same amount of overhang. So if I cut this edge down, I'll put this ruler away, but actually I need it now. So if I cut this down, about, I want to kind of cut the jagged edge off. If I cut it here along this line, in fact I don't even need to cut it properly, do I? I can just put a line on there with a pen like that, and then put, oh, don't put the lid back on yet, Dave, and then do the same here. That's a similar sort of line. Let's see what that didn't do a line there. Put that, hang that back up again. So it's out of the way. And then cut this down with a pair of scissors. So let's move that out of the way. love that sound. Oh, I love that sound. You know, scissors on a surface that makes that sound amplify. I just love that sound. It takes me back so much to. It's not quite the same sound as cutting fabric on a table, but when I worked for a company called Habitat, we used to cut fabric down on a table like this, and it just sounded amazing. Those bits. Anybody want a chocolate? Shall I have a chocolate? Well, I'm thinking I might have an orange cream. Christmas chocolates just under the. Of course, you never know when you might need a bit of an energy boost. Oh, that one's gone a little bit white, but never mind. It's only got a bit of a bloom on it. So I'm going to cover this. So I'm thinking, what do I want to do? Because I want to make sure it needs to be covered so that it's openable. So I should do one part first and then do the other part. So, shall I glue it first? Yeah, just go for it, Dave. No, that's the thick one. Let's use this. Oh. So again, I'm going to use this to glue it with. And I want to make sure it completely covers the edges. But I'm not worried too much about it not having, so I don't want it to be completely stuck down. I want the edges to be stuck. That's true. But I don't want it to be completely stuck down. I want it to have a bit of a crinkle, a crinkle factor. The crinkle factor. That's what I want. The crinkle factor. Right, so. I'm going to stick that bit down. I'm not going to make sure that that doesn't stick though. I don't want that to stick down at all. And then I'm going to cut this so that it, well, let's make sure it sticks first. I'm going to cut it so that we get a nice angle. Now, is that going to make me a 45-degree angle? Probably not. I think if I just cut it straight across. I'm never sure about this angle, with which angle I need to be at to give it a 45-degree. Yeah, straight across is fine. So I'm doing the same on this corner. Do you know what? It might be easier to do it like this then. I don't want to snip the corner of my thing off there, that's the thing. And I want to make sure that this, so I want that to kind of go to about there, and then I want it to go into that corner and into that corner, so that it covers that edge and that edge too. And I'm going to flip that round and do the same in there, on there, down to almost the middle. In fact, it's probably a little bit too far. There and there. So then this is going to come round here and glue down, and this is going to come up here and glue down. I think we've got a slight overlap. Maybe I should do that with a... Yeah, maybe I should, Dave, because then you'll get a much better straight line like that. So if I fold that up and then fold that over. Oh, that's perfect. That's what I wanted. Right, cool. What's that going to give me? Is that going to give me that same? It is, that same line. Perfect. So, I need this to... That's going to fold that way, but I don't want too much bulk on this spine, so that's got to go like that, I think, up to that corner, and then that can be snipped out. That can fold over like that, which will glue down. Not with that one, Dave. Keep picking that up, and that's not the one you want. That's not the glue you were looking for. So I want that to go over there first. And then we need to do the same thing again on this corner. Can't remember what I did. What did I do? That came down, alright. It came down like that, and then that went like that. I'll do the same on this corner, stick that down. And that way then we're just kind of binding in these layers. That one's not sticking down. Cool. Okay, flip it back round. So we'll do the same principle here. A little bit sticking out there I want to get rid of. So that's going to come up here. Might give that straight a line. Like that. Yeah, and stick that down like that. Oh, that's definitely sticking. So stick on this, or let's put something underneath it, otherwise all the glue will ooze back onto the mat again. In fact, let's use a piece of that we've just thrown away. That on there, cool. So again, I want it to cover it. With this stuff, less is more. You want to have a coverage, but you don't want loads of it because it does make it very slippery and slimy. I'm just going to smoosh it all out a bit. You want it to be kind of tacky. Just stick it down. You don't want it like really wet, because then it seems to stick much better like that. Just going to rub my nail across that edge there. Make sure it gets a nice contact with the edge. Cool, so that's that bit. And then we're going to turn this round. I'm going to do the same on here. Piece of paper is not long enough, but just move it down as we go. Oh, is that going to have a fairly straight edge? Maybe. It could be straighter. Move that out of the way for a minute. Let's go for that. There we go. Down into that. Again, put some of this on it. Getting into that groove. Get into the groove, boy. You've got to prove your love to me. No, Dave, do not sing. Don't be demonetized for terrible singing. You know, if you're going to get demonetized, you want to at least be able to sing properly. Oh, yeah. You know, I was thinking if I won the lottery, it's one thing I'd like to do is have singing lessons. Always wanted to learn, or always wanted to be able to sing again properly. I used to sing when I was a child, when I was in school, before my voice broke, so I'd like to do that again. So, is this straight-ish? Let's see. About there. Just trim that down a bit. Is that the same? Oh, Dave, completely moved the thing. Dave, you didn't cut anything off. Okay, has that cut it this time? No. Still missed a bit. Oh well. Don't want to cut too much off. There we go. Cool, that's fine. So, again, put that under there. Is that going to be covered? If I cover that? Yeah, is that corner? Perfect. Now I realise there's a slight overhang here from where the two boards are slightly different sizes, but I'm not worried about that because we're going to cover it up anyway with glue. Don't fall over because that will just glug out. So smooshing it just makes it that little bit more tacky as well. Brilliant! Look at that, isn't that gorgeous? That is just delicious. Right, we want to make sure that this spine is able to do this. So that means that when it flattens out, it will crinkle a bit. Not worried about that though. So the next piece to do is the spine. So we need to have this over, well, we want it to be like this really before we stick the spine down. And I think, I'm not sure whether to cut the pieces first or glue the spine. I think I'm going to glue the spine first, and the reason for that is they might be slightly off center when it's glued, so where you've put the slots might not actually line up with where they actually are on your cuts, if you know what I mean. And if you don't, well, there's a good chance that you don't, because let's face it, I'm not really sure what I'm talking about half the time, so good luck with that. So I'm trying not to get any on this piece here because I don't want to glue around this bit yet. Right, again I want to smoosh it out a bit. I'm going to smoosh it kind of away from this piece. That bit is completely dried now. That's what I say, is it just, you don't have a lot of working time with it, but it does adhere very well. Again, we've lost some time on this. So. Right, make sure we get a full adhesion on there. So I'm going to glue it like this. So I'm going to bring it up to that edge. And then stick it down like this. I'm going to drop that side down and smoosh this bit in. Which is what I should, when I said I was going to wait until I do the cuts, I should have done the waiting for these cuts because they don't quite line up now. But we can rectify it. So now when I lie this down, you'll see that it has this kind of spine on it, and I'm not mad at that at all. That's perfect. So you'll have that, and then when you fold it over, it will be nice and spiny. Nice and spiny. So I think I'm going to glue this bit on before I do this bit. So now I'm absolutely covered in this stuff. So this is not as easy now because we don't want to completely smoosh the board down. I might have to smoosh it to a certain extent. So again, just going to go all around this, the edges. Make sure the edges are covered. Try not to get it on that other board. Try not to get it on that other board, Dave. Oh, it's all just dripping off. More haste, less speed. And again, I want it to stick down. It doesn't want it to have to be completely stuck. Okay, so I need the smooshy bit of board. Just to pull it away from this edge a bit. I want to pull it up to the edge. Cool. And then I'm going to, not do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this. Yeah. Just thinking it has to be at a right angle, and is that the right right angle? It is. It's fine. So that's that piece, which means that it's, you see how you've got these kind of channels now. So that's because we don't want the spine to be perfect. Like, otherwise you wouldn't be able to open it. If it was completely, when you did this, if this was completely flat, you wouldn't be able to get it closed. I mean, that's what I mean. So now what we need to do is do that same thing with the corners. So we're just going to cut this bit off. And cut this bit off. Try and cut the corner off. And then we want to straighten these up, these edges. How much did I have? Yeah, it's about that. Wrong way up, blade. Like that. And then this bit, so let's turn that round because it's easier. Sorry, it's always best if I don't try and talk whilst I'm cutting. Not unless you want to see me lose a limb live. See how that's not lined up. See, I definitely should have waited, but you know, it's not an issue. We will just rectify that whole situation. So we're going to score there, and then we're going to go like that. Yeah. Let's do this piece off there, from the corners to there, but then this piece can just come at a different angle, slightly different angle, because we want it to glue over that corner. Same here, so stick that, make sure that sticks down, Dave. So we want to do this at kind of this angle, and this off at this angle, and then that needs to go to that corner there. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to do these pieces first, so the little corner bits so that they get tucked in. I'll smoosh them out. The tackier they are, the better it is for sticking these, especially the little bits. Cool. And this is going to come up to here. Let's just do that now. Cool. Again, need this piece. No, that's the thick one. much. Where is my board? Fold that in. Can't remember which is the front and which is the back now, but hey. I literally cannot remember which is the front and which is the back. Anyway, it doesn't really make much difference. Well, oh, that's the front, isn't it? Because that's the bit with the bit out missing. That's there. So, so then this piece, turn this round. Over. And do the same on this bit. Right, we're getting there with this. I just obviously need to do the spine, but I'm getting a bit sticky. I might go and wash my hands after I've done the spine. Smoosh all of that out. I know it seems like a real waste of the glue because you kind of put it on and take it off, but trust me, it works better if you do. Spread it all out. You don't get so much undulation on it as well. You know, otherwise you can feel it. No. Oh, something fell on my leg and I couldn't feel what it was. It was that. Good job it didn't. Well, I hope it didn't slice into me. Right, so these are going to fold up like this. And what we're going to do is we're just going to trim that so that it doesn't look quite so silly. So it folds up like that. And we're just going to put a bit of glue there. Done with a smooshing bit. Smooshing bit, honestly, Dave, you need to get a grip, and also you need to keep hold of these pieces that you keep putting down and then can't find again. All curl into there and stay there. Right, I might just put a peg on it because, yeah, it's just like that. I didn't think it was going to stay. It isn't. I'll just put a peg on it. Might if I had another one. Oh, there you go. There's another one there. I'll put one either side. And I'll just hold it down while I do this end. Again, flip it over. How much of that do I want? I'm just going to snip some of that off. This down, put that under there because that's getting a bit covered in glue. Smoosh it all out, curl it round, glue it down. Get a couple of pegs. Let's just make sure that's completely curled over before I do that. On there. Cool. So now what we need to do is do these bits, because we need to make sure that they're kind of holes, because that was the whole point. The whole point. Shut up, Dave. Yeah, I think I'm going to go corner to corner. corner to corner that way. Yep. I was thinking maybe I should have cut a box out of the middle, but it's basically just going to do the same thing. You're still going to have to have a pointed corner to be able to get it to. All that's going to mean is you just have a straight edge here. Again, I'm not worried about that bit. We'll do that same on here. Corner to corner. Corner to corner. Cool. Right, so this time I think I might just use some white glue, because I don't want it to be, this is not going to be kind of load bearing. Do you know what I mean? I would use some white glue if I knew where it is. What's that? It's fallen over. That's where it is. Is it coming out? It's coming out. That's good. So I just want to make sure it covers that little spiny bit there inside. So it wraps around that bit. So it presses up against that edge. Just use that to make sure it presses flat. And then pull this bit down. And again, just lean on that a little bit while I do this piece. And then just pull that round. Flatten that down. This is what I like about the utilitarian stuff for me, is that almost like you can see how it's been made. So, because there were no frills or prettiness in such times. We're talking about, like, this is a utilitarian, was obviously very popular during World War II, because it did its job. It wasn't there to look glamorous or gorgeous. So that's going to go around there. It might be a little bit floofy on that corner, but that's fine. And then we're just going to stick that bit down. They should be able to be taken off now, and so should they. Oh, that didn't stick, so I might just do that with a bit of white glue. Now it might be a bit utilitarian for you, so it might be too I don't know what's the word, too basic, because you can see too much of it. But like I say, it's not a process make, it's a follow me while I make this, and you might think, oh, I quite like to make something like that, or that's a different way of making a spine, Dave. It's a bit like my tab journals. It's kind of a reverse engineered of the tab journals that I've made, that they were utilitarian, but the tab was in the spine and the page is connected to the tab, whereas the tabs are basically string on the paper, and the spine is just an anchor point. Hold that down. In fact, I'll just flatten that out first. Bit of glue on that. I can feel that really pulling now. I did try to pick some of it off, but I can feel it really pulling on my hair. It's the only hair I've got, so. No, I've got facial hair. I don't have much hair on my head. Press that down. Cool. So let's have a look at it now. So this is our file. Now you could say we could have just made an A4 file, one of the ring binder files, but I didn't want to. So I wanted it to feel like this. So it has a bit of a crinkly appearance, but again, I'm not mad at it. It has a feel to it. It has a utilitarian feel. Of course, I will age it, etc. But now I want to have a think about how we're going to get these in here. So, obviously, we need to find the middle of each one. Where's that piece? That one that I did. Here's one I made earlier. And I was thinking of using string, wasn't I? So let's have a look at some string. And then we can think about, maybe we'll think about this in the next video, how we're going to lay the pages out. But let's just undo some of this string. So this is this one is tea-dyed string. I did contemplate using my saffron dyed string, which is yellow, but I don't have a lot of that. So we'll use this. So I'm thinking 1, 2, if we go 3, and that should give me enough to tie it. And then if I do go through there and through there, and then that's going to go through the spine, both sides. And that's going to tie to here. Obviously you can't pull it too tight because you'll rip those holes, but I don't want it too tight anyway, and it's going to get quite cluttered with like all of the bows on the spine. But again, not worried too much. Could have always put the bow on the inside, I guess. That's not quite straight though. Let's go for a better one. Easier to tie a bow away from myself than it is to tie one in front of me. So, well, I think it is anyway. It seemed to work. So there we go. So that's going to be one of our pages, and then we're going to put the others in, and we'll just have those. So I guess we could just do 1, 2, 3, cut. Do the same length on there. In fact, I might have to use a lot of this string, so I might use several colours, because I do have several colours. Let's try that. Just don't know whether that is too long. You know, if I can save string, I will. So let's go with these. I need to know where the middle of this is. So if I just take one and do the same thing again, just bend it, pinch it. That gives me the middle, which I can just put a pencil mark on there. And it can go in there, and then this, make sure that's, you know, I mean, this is really old and it still cuts the holes in paper, so like, you know, hey, I'm a bit chuffed with that. I bet there's lots of people who don't use their antiques, but you know, I'm not worried. I'm going to pop that in there. Those through those holes. Oh, I really should kind of age it a bit, shouldn't I, before I do that? And of course you're doing it the wrong way because you found it was easier to tie it away from you, but anyway, that's basically what we're going to have. We're going to have these, and obviously if we tie them a bit tighter, and once there's more pages in as well, they won't be quite so saggy. But I like the, you know, we refined everything over time, so let's take these out and we'll do some aging, and then we'll have a look at pages, maybe do that next time. So it's just going to be a two-parter, but let's look at aging. So let's make this older looking. It also gives me time to think about how I want the pages laid out. So let's have a go at aging this. So we're going to go for a full on, it's been around a long time. Let's go with a bit of antique linen first. Yeah, it's a bit drier. I'm just going to go over the whole thing. As it dries, it gets lighter. So I'm going to put some old paper on. Vintage photo. Now I want quite a dry one. I think this is the driest, or is that the driest? No, that's not dry at all. That's quite new. So let's use this one. Let's stain now. I have another worn out one. Is it there? No, that's rusty hinge. Okay. I've got the new one up there, but I don't. Oh no, hang on. That's another one there, isn't it? Or is that the one I've just put back? I don't know now. Might be a different one. No, it's a different one. I'm just going to go over this lightly with this. Get a bit of brush corduroy on there. This is a new one. Do I have an old one? I do. Oh, sorry for squeaky. Don't want to go too dark, I don't think. Frayed burlap. Frayed burlap. Let's go for. Oh, that's quite a new one though, isn't it? I don't think I've got an old one of them. No. I want ones that are a little bit older because they don't tend to. That's an older one. That's a gathered twig though again, isn't it? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use a brush, I think, or yeah, let's use a brush. Brush with some. Don't want it too dark. Is that brush corduroy the new one? I think it is. Just get into the bits that haven't really picked up any colour. Just to give it some colour. And I think I'll save labels and the inside for another time. Well, for next time, next Monday. That way then we don't have to spend hours together. I'm sure there's things you want to get on doing that I'm keeping you back from, but I appreciate you being here if you are here. Also, very much appreciate it if you just give me a like, give me a subscribe if you haven't already done so. January, I think we're going to have a bit more utilitarian stuff. I've got a week off the middle to end of January, so I'm planning to spend that week off work doing stuff for my channel. So it will then give you some new ideas, and I'd like to see if I can develop some more one sheet wonders because I am kind of running out. Although I think I've got over 30 videos on one sheet wonders, so if you do have lots of one sheets, lots of 12x12s, then really you have no excuse. Oh, much nicer now, isn't it? That is much nicer than that side now, because we've given it a much kind of more warm tone, a grubby tone. Picked up the colours in the background that you weren't going to get any kind of colour on them otherwise. We're going to do that on here. So we've got that kind of matching. They don't have to look the same, but they match. Coordinating. It's quite light in that area, isn't it? So I like brushes because they kind of just give a softer colour. You actually don't even realise you're putting much on with a brush, but until you kind of step back and look at it from where it was. I'm going to be making a field notes lap book again this year. Always make one in the run up to spring. I think it's going to be a different shape this time, so a different format. So I've always had quite a big landscape, a big portrait style book. I think I'm going to go landscape this time. But at the moment, not completely planned out, so I've kind of thought in my head rather than a finished concept. We might do some makes in the run up to that. There we go. I might just put a smooshing of this inside on this sheet on the paper. So it looks like the paper kind of matches the outside. Yeah, so that's kind of like a slightly developed idea. But, you know, I'll have a ideas book to then start developing ideas from. Then, once I've finished this book, I'll be able to start keeping my ideas in there. Also, just wanted to get in that little groove bit there, maybe a bit there. So yeah, I hope it's going to be something you'll enjoy. You know, there's going to be some other stuff that goes on, but I haven't quite worked that out. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Might even do something for February, which like a love journal. A love journal. I don't actually usually do anything for Valentine's Day, but I might do something. Like I say, they're all ideas in my head. This is the problem. This is the reason why I've got doing this book, is because ideas in my head will stay there if I don't kind of weed them out. But I think this definitely looks less Amazon packaging and more utilitarian now. I wanted it to look really old and grungy, and realise it's probably older and grungier than some people like, but it's a definitely up my street type thing. Right, the only thing I want to do is just put some of this on some of the areas, not too much though, because it's a new pad. That's 3. Sorry, that's the 3rd one. That's 4. That's 5, and that's 6. So that I just wanted to make sure I counted, otherwise I'd be getting to the end and saying, which ones have I done? So, there we go. That's our outer. Hope you think that looks old. Like I say, it's going to have these in here. So I might just thread this back in. You'll need to, then that way then you can see it. You can see it in all its glory with its papers hanging out. I mean, they must have been something like this before somebody invented the hole punch. I'm sure the folder came first rather than the hole punch. Somebody had to find not the hole punch, sorry, the ring binder. I'm sure somebody had to think, I need to find a way to secure these that's easy to take things in and out with. So the ring binder was born, but until then, they must have done something. I don't know, tied it in, clipped it in. Maybe not, they didn't exist. Maybe that was a new format of folder. But anyway, there's two there that are just tied in, and they, they don't sit perfectly, but I don't mind. There we go. So, yes, so that's it. So thank you very much for joining me today. I do hope that you enjoyed it. I'm going to go and wash my hands now because they feel absolutely vile. So yeah, if you did like it, you know what to do. Give it a thumbs up. It really does help. You think it's an insignificant little thing, but it really helps me and my algorithm, and it helps my channel to grow. Thank you for everybody that's subscribed, especially over the Christmas period. Without you, I wouldn't be here. I'm grateful to all of my pre-existing subscribers, whether you're new, old. I don't mean you being old. Whether you're new or old, I'm just so grateful for everybody that's here. Thank you so much. And don't forget, make sure that you give it a like. Make sure that you comment if you wish. I realise not everyone wants to comment, but commenting also helps. And share it with a friend. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I am going to love you and leave you. And so, like I always say, I love you all, without exception, till you give me a reason not to. So don't give me a reason not to. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care, folks. See you soon. Bye. Lots of love. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Lots of hugs. Arr! I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye. Bye.